Interviews with Haunting Gurus.
It's Baker with Interviews with Haunting Gurus, and on my bone phone, I've got Tim Fowler from the Farm Haunt in Castaic, California. And Tim, the kids obviously love you.
Cheers. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hey, by the way, cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Just raise. There we go. Your can makes a funny sound.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's get right down to it. How long you been haunting?
One way or another for since I was a kid. Didn't know there was other haunters until probably maybe 8 or 9 years ago. But fortunate enough to grow up with a family that celebrated holidays quite a bit, and grew up going to Disneyland, Knott's, Universal, all that kind of stuff.
So you're spoiled because being out there in that area, you've got all that going on.
Yeah.
You've got all that exposure.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I didn't have that out here.
Yeah, my mom took me to Knott's Scary Farm, when I was 10, and ever since then it's kind of been an obsession of mine. Trying to recreate.
Was it like mind blown?
Oh, it's wild. And my old man, he built houses and was a machinist, and so he. Anything we could think of, he was more than willing to build it for us. So, it was pretty cool. It, guillotines and tombstones and, spiders on fishing line, all that kind of stuff. So I had a good childhood,
Wish I had your dad.
Yeah.
I didn't have. My father didn't do shit. He was like not into Halloween. He still was like, you still do that Halloween thing? I'm like, I've been doing it for like 50 years.
Yeah.
What do you think? I'm just going to stop one day?
Yeah, he sees my tattoos. I got a bunch of Halloween tattoos, and he's like, well, I hope you still like Halloween when you get older. I'm like, dude, I'm 45, dude. I'm older already. Give a shit now.
What's going to happen next year that all of a sudden I'm going to be like, I'm done with that Halloween stuff now. I'm moving. I'm growing up.
Fuck that. Never, dude.
That ain't happening.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I still got, one of the toe pincher coffins that he made, when I was a kid that we still incorporate in the haunt every year. And every time he comes by, he still gets a kick out of seeing it. And he collects haunted mansion stuff, which is pretty cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his whole he's got a whole room in his house that's all haunted mansion. And I picked him up a couple weeks ago. The caretaker that Lowe's is selling. I don't know, but it's really hard to come by people.
Did he grab it?
Oh, I got it.
Did he pick it up?
He's
nice.
He's got some health issues, so he doesn't get out very much. But yeah, I was at Lowe's because people are selling them on eBay for like $600, $700, $800. And I just happened to stop by.
So what do? They bought them out, and now they're trying to
flipping them.
But scalping them on online.
But he's been bugging me to build him one, and I'm like, I'll get to it. And then Lowe's makes the caretaker for the graveyard that holds a lantern, and he goes back and forth. And he's actually pretty cool. So I found one at a Lowe's out of town here, and I picked one up for him and dropped it off at his house. So he's pretty stoked. So.
How much were those going for?
$240.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's outrageous or not. Actually, that might be okay. I don't know. It depends on the quality.
I mean, it's better than the spirit stuff. It was the plastic's a bit thicker. But, the old man will keep it in his room, in the corner. So he's pretty stoked about it. Yeah. Fortunately,
nice.
I grew up celebrating Halloween quite a bit.
Nice. So you were infected at a very early age.
Yeah.
And so but as far as the farm haunt, when did that start? Like what year around?
Around 2015, 2016 was the first we branded the haunt. Kind of got there was a community down here in SoCal, and the home haunts kind of had their own branding. It was like the Rotten Apple, the Restless Souls Manor, the Backwoods Haunt, Van Oak Cemetery. All these people had their name. They weren't just decorating the yard, and so we branded branded our yard the Farm Haunt, and that kind of went from there and started as a small display with a little horseshoe walkthrough, which expanded into a full walkthrough. And it's
now how did the Farm Haunt, how did you choose that name?
I mean, it's definitely influenced by Not Scary Farm. You know, I grew up going there.
Yeah.
Like, my design that I built is definitely influenced by them. It's always been Old West kind of theme or a farm kind of theme. And I like that hillbilly, haunt, chainsaws and blood and gore at the same time. I like the old lanterns and hay bales and pumpkins, like the what you think of fall and Halloween, which, in SoCal, we don't get much of a season change. It gets a little cooler, but, there's no fall leaves around here. But just that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And so our first year as the farm, I built a huge barn facade, 16 feet tall. And, before I knew how to build anything light, it was all 2x4s and OSB, and it was heavier than shit, and it was just me and at the time, Leo was a little kid, so it was pretty much just me setting all this stuff up. It kind of took off from there to where we, got a little bit of a name for ourselves. We had more and more people showing up, and, kind of got into it. Met people around SoCal from, the SoCal haunters.
Yeah, you got all the influencers showing up at your houses now. You got Hollywood haunters and everybody.
Yeah, that was so. If
hey, Tim Fowler, you're a big shit. You're doing cool shit now.
Yeah, right, dude. It's more like, you want me to talk about what? You're like, yeah, just all this shit I threw together. But yeah, you saw that video at Hollywood Haunters came by with Chris and Gina, and they filmed. And that was at our old place in Glendale. That was. But
that was your old place.
That was our old place.
All right. I don't know. I don't think I remembered what year that was out. But.
Yeah, that must have been like 2018. I think that was the last year we did a big one down there.
In Glendale, California. That's like.
But
live in front of a studio audience.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird experience. They show up with the camera, and I've known them previously, but it's kind of cool explaining. Stuff doesn't always look that good in the daylight,
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. It's like, it's really not meant to be seen in daylight. So, but your son Leo is a big, he's totally in, right? 100%. He's your helper, and he's,
he's got lots of great ideas, and, when we go out, when we go out to the yard sales and go out to the flea markets and swap meets and stuff, he's got a good eye. We pick up stuff, and he's the first one to tell me something that, doesn't look right, which is, it's nice to have that. It's like, dude, that doesn't look good. Take it down. I'm like, all right, because it's nice to have someone honest. I
don't have that person.
He's not worried to hurt my feelings, and most of the time he's right.
That's the beauty of kids. Yeah. It's like, they don't care about hurting your feelings. Yeah. They will just say it as it is.
But, as he gets older, he's been able to help more and more, and which is pretty freaking cool, And we do events.
You guys do events.
Yeah, we
together?
do events throughout the year, and this year at the Spooky Swap Meet, which is put on. By some of the members of the Midsummer Scream crew, as well as John Cook's wife, Sarah Cook. But Leo helped out with that. We do a big display, and then we have a big booth where we sell stuff. And Leo ran the whole yard sale part of it, the swap meet part of it, and I split the money with him. So he's getting more and more involved as he gets more capable.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. Now, where do they do that swap meet? Where does that happen?
It's at the Heritage Square in Los Angeles. And it's a bunch of late 1800s homes that were all built in Los Angeles, and they moved to one spot, so it's kind of like a park. So all these old homes, and so every I believe it's April for the last 3 years, they put on this spooky swap meet, and so it's tons of vendors, and we decorate the carriage house every year. The last 3 years we've decorated it. And so it's a daytime event, Saturday, Sunday. So we'll load in Friday, set up and decorate, and then set up a booth and sell used Halloween stuff. We collect the stuff throughout the year, and then have us, in swap meet style, sell stuff. And
I need to do
it's
that.
a great event, dude.
I need to clean out some stuff for sure.
Yeah, this past year,
I hate doing it on eBay because eBay takes their cut, and then it's like, oh well, after
Yeah, we purged a lot of stuff this past year. It was kind of like, if we haven't opened the box for a few years, look in it, said fuck it, let's go, and free up some space for new stuff.
Definitely. As far as the farm haunt in its over its run, do you guys kind of change the theme within it a little bit each year, or does it kind of stay the same?
Well, the first year it was kind of like we're definitely dipping our toe into like a full-on theme. We kind of went from like the Heinz 57 haunt, where it's whatever you have, you put in the yard and light it with the the heat bulbs, to where we kind of dipped our toes into like a theme, and so we kept it. There wasn't any backstory. It was a barn with a bunch of blood and gore, and then the yard was more tame with scarecrows and pumpkins and stuff. And then the following year we had a backstory. The farm was built on some tainted land, so nothing grew. The meat was rotten, and all the outcasts from the local town congregated there, which led into a blood gore fest, animal human hybrids kind of stuff. And we were able to pull in a lot of local actors from other haunts. So it actually came out. It was pretty awesome. The years that we had it in Glendale, it was a pretty fun haunt, even while keeping the yard display pretty tame for Halloween for the kids. But inside it was just a blood and gore fest. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And
how's it changed now that you're over in Castaic?
We moved up to Castaic, and our first year here was 2019, and we moved to a street called Diablo Place. And so we changed it up. We came up with the character Dr. Diablo, and then so we Dr. Diablo's Caskets and Curiosities. And so I built a facade, which is like an Old West building. Signed Dr. Diablo's Caskets and Curiosities. And the first year it was the yard display, but it was kind of like a peek in. If you've been to Knott's Berry Farm in the original Calico Ghost Town, Fog Alley, they have all these peek-ins with their little scenes, the Hop Wings laundry or people playing poker. And so that first year it was like a peek-in. You could come up on the porch of Dr. Diablo's facade, look in the window, and there was his office, and there's different props, it was just weird, skeletons and Fiji mermaids and just, all kinds of weird things.
So it's more like scenes, not like nothing was popping out or hitting the window, or it was, you could just kind of peek in and see the set.
Correct.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Is that right?
And so that was the year we had, and then 2020, we did the same thing. We did a yard display, and then I built a hearse, and then a bunch of scarecrows of Dr. Diablo's, the facade again, just added more to it. And then 2021, we did Dr. Diablo's Caskets, Curiosities, and the Curse of Castaic Creek. And that was a full walkthrough here.
And what was the twist to the backstory on that one?
It was, Dr. Diablo grew up, his dad was the mortician for the town of Castaic, and he grew up having to build caskets in the back. And once his parents died, he took over the business. He got tired of building caskets, so he would go dig up bodies and recycle the caskets and dump the bodies in Castaic Creek, which was behind the office. So as time went on, Castaic Creek, all the creeps started to emerge. So you would go into Dr. Diablo's office, meet Dr. Diablo, which was me, and you have a little spiel, and then you'd go deeper into Dr. Diablo's business and end up in Castaic Creek, which is a laser swamp with a bunch of creeps in there jumping out at you. So it was a good time.
Like I say, I've been wanting to do a laser swamp for years, and like I say, I tried to do it one year, and it wasn't working for me. Maybe it was the setup. It was a last minute thing. We have storms here before Halloween, almost every year. I got a nor'easter. I got some kind of storm that comes through. It rains like ridiculous. So many times I have to try to rush things out and set things up.
We get wind.
Halloween morning sometimes for just the electronics. The rest of the stuff is out there, but I have to run out. If I'm going to do any pneumatics, any prop controllers, I got to kind of rush them out and try to test them. Like if I have the night before, it's like last year, I think was one of the first years in a long time that I had no rain the night before. I got everything set up. I had everything set up, tested, ready, and ready to rock and roll. I had almost nothing to do on Halloween day.
That's perfect.
It was like, that never happens. It never happens for me. So to have that happen was like, Like, it was a banner year for the Village Mire that year. But I've been wanting to do that, and I tried it one year, and it wasn't working. I don't remember what was going on with it. But I couldn't pull it off at the last minute because I was throwing it out Halloween morning. And then I just haven't come back and revisited it yet. And I know people pull it off outside. I've seen, like, I was watching some haunt video the other day, and the guy was doing them all on his front lawn. And he just, like, and I was like, I couldn't pull it off in an enclosed, tarped off, like, PVC framed area. I was having a problem pulling it off. And this guy was just doing it outside. Well, obviously, he probably had no wind that year too, but I was so envious. I'm like, son of a bitch, I want to do the laser swamp one of these years. It would go so perfect with the Village Mire.
For sure. We do get some wind up here, which is, you kind of have to build prepared for that, because we'll get a couple days where it gusts pretty good. It's more stuff blowing over, so the facades and stuff. So I would build a full-on deck to build the facades on top of, so I can screw them down. And then the year that we did the full walkthrough, I built a 12 by 16 deck in the front yard over a planter, just so I could build the whole facade and Diablo's office on top of that. So I had a full level surface to build on, and I actually built a roof on top. Built a roof on top of it too. So I was able to have lighting up in the roof and everything, and so that worked out pretty well. But it's a bitch to take down November 1st,
Oh yeah, I bet it is.
But that's I really like building, the facades and the big stuff. I definitely get a kick out of that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what is your favorite aspect of building the haunt? Is it like, pneumatics, controllers, this, that, and like, as I think you just answered my question, the facades is
right. I really enjoyed, drawing it out, kind of, go getting the lumber and just seeing it all come together and painting it and then putting it up, and if it looks like what you think in your head, I'm like, oh, this looks bitchin', and then dressing the set and everything, from there, which is.
How much like pre-planning do you do? Do you do like Google SketchUp and all that kind of stuff, or do you just kind of make a rough plan of like how wide you need something?
Graph paper and a pencil, dude. I don't know that advanced.
Old school.
Oh yeah,
old school.
It's so easy for me. Like, that's I envy people that can use the SketchUp and that kind of stuff and like build their whole haunts and like be able to like pan through it. I'm like, that's so bitchin', but I don't know if I could, For the time it would take me to learn that, I can draw it out and go buy some lumber and, knock it out.
And build it. And build the whole thing. That's this whole thing. It's like, by the time you learn that software, you could be already on. Now, once you get the skill down, then I guess it opens up all kinds of possibilities to you. I think I tried to toy with it way back when it was like, I don't even think it was Google SketchUp, or they might have just taken it over. Some other company made it, and then Google bought it out like they do with most things. So I was like, oh man, I should try to learn this, and then I just
it's like the Arduino stuff. Like Greg Packard and like a good friend that are like, damn, I have that pneumatic monster I built. It's got 5 cylinders, and I have a Peekaboo MP3 4-channel, and I'm like, well, shit, I need one more channel to run the mount. And they're like, oh, build an Octobanger. I'm like, all right. And so I use Arduino, so they send me a parts list. So I have it in a box here, and I got all these parts, and I'm like, now what? I don't know how to solder circuit boards and shit. And I'm like,
right? Yeah, I remember going to this make and take, or I don't know if it was, I guess it was a make and take. And they were like, all right, you got your breadboard, and I'm like, wait, what? I don't want to. I thought we were talking like we were doing a haunt thing, and I'm like, I don't want to this is way above like all the electronic shit is way like I can do basic stuff, like I was talking about. I made this little froggy creature thing that I want to just pop up behind a box, just come up like about 8 or 10 inches, and then drop back down. And I bought a linear actuator, which worked great if you just want them to kind of creepily ease up and then ease back down. But if you wanted to like pop up like a pneumatic and pop back down, You can, but you've got to pay for the expensive linear actuator. You got to pay like $150 for a linear actuator that can move like 9 inches per second. So it's like boom, boom, it comes up and down. But I was like, from using linear actuators, I've always used picovolts, but I haven't bought a picovolt in a number of years. And then I went on Frightprop's website to check out what the cost of picovolts were, and they're $100 now. And I'm like, damn, it's like that little thing. It doesn't even have audio, and it's like that freaking big, and it's $100. I think it was. I swear to God, I think I bought a couple when they were like 60. Maybe they were 80, and I'm just not remembering it correctly. But they're like $100 now. I'm like, I can't afford it, but I just didn't want to spend it, so I started going online. Hey, you guys know anything? It's like, alternative to this, and they're throwing out Arduinos and Octobangers, and I'm familiar. I have an Octobang, like an Arduino with an Octo with like an I forget what it's called. It's like the Haunt Shield or some other shit that's attached to it. And you go on the Octobanger website to program it and all this stuff. But I'm like, after you get all, I'm like, and then you need a relay or some other. I'm like, I'll pay the $100. Yep. I'll pay the $100.
They've already
so I can move
out.
on to building it. So I can build a creature and stop screwing around with this electronic shit. I just want to build monsters. That's all I want to build is monsters.
Yeah. No, but I'm definitely in the, and I appreciate, I wish I had that passion for that, because I mean, it's we have friends that
it would save you a lot of money,
for sure. But and they put together stuff that's like, holy shit, they make their own button bangers and stuff. And I'm like, that's freaking bitching. But I'm just, that's not me. Give me some metal or some wood, and I throw some shit together, But
it's amazing what I have patience for and what I don't have patience for. And that's one of the things I have very little patience for. And maybe one day I will. I just don't right now. I'm too busy working on my next creature monster thing. And I'm like, I'll pay the money just to cut that it's the time, the return on investment, the time it's going to take me to work on that. But, whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
I do really appreciate people who can do it. And it's awesome what they can do.
It's intermission time, folks. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share on social media. And don't forget to turn on notifications as not to miss any juicy haunt content.
And now, on with the show.
What else are you working on right now? Anything cool that you're working on right now?
Right now, I'm busy carving pumpkins. I've got a shit ton of pumpkins that I'm painting faces on to make sure they look okay, and then I'm going to start carving them all out. And
you got an awesome score that I saw you were posting all over line, bragging about.
Yeah, damn right.
Like, you son of a bitch, that's awesome. You got like 100 pumpkins somewhere, and I'm like, that rocks.
Yeah, that was a. For someone who searches out this stuff and to find a score like that, like we talked about, but from a local place called EcoSet, who gets donations from studios and then recycles back to whoever wants to come down and get it. They posted they had a bin full of Funkins, and I was the first one to respond, and I was able to go down there and get definitely 6. I haven't counted because I haven't had a chance to use them all. But, a huge bin of, 60 plus Funkins, including big ones like this guy right here. So that's what I'm doing this year. We're doing the Haunted Pumpkin Patch. And so I built a pumpkin stand, and we're going to have some, pneumatics thrown in the mix and some creeps. And,
and you can never go wrong. I mean, like I say, it's such a classic thing for Halloween. Look. You can never go wrong just by having a shit ton of pumpkins.
Oh, it looks so bitchin'. I mean, I get a kick out of it, and I found a way, like, I used to light them with the 10 millimeter little flicker LEDs, and they're really dim. And then I found on Amazon, they have the string lights, but they're all flame bulbs. And so they're spread out far enough to where if you have a lot of pumpkins, you can light those, and they're super bright. And
how much distance between the lights?
The lights, there's probably 18 inches in between each light, and then there's another foot, probably another foot to 15 inches of cord coming out. So you can spread them out pretty good.
How much do they go for?
It's like $40. But it's it was like
and how many lights in a string?
I think 20.
20. Okay.
I mean, it was such a game changer because I was using the LEDs and I used like Derek's and previously how you wire the LEDs up with like RCAs and Alpha 1 power source and light them all up, but they're really, really dim. But these light the pumpkins so well. It's just you're limited by the spacing in between, but you can figure it out. They work pretty well. And that with like the flame bulbs, like the big guy here, and like if I got a few pumpkins scattered as well, I'll just buy the flame bulbs and then the screw in sockets and plug them in.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. Like I say, I've been getting by with especially like my Halloween tree.
Yeah.
And like I say, I don't know if those would work in my Halloween tree only because the way the spacing between where they're located, they're like, I have them wired around branches and then hanging down into the pumpkins. So I just I get like those lighthouse LED flicker bulbs, and I think I'm only using the 5 millimeters, but I stick about three of them together and put them in there, and they do the job.
Right,
like they flicker, they're bright. I might add an extra and make sure that there's 4 in each one. I think it might need just a little bit extra. But I could, like I say, I have my whole tree wired up, and I use those, and it does the job. Once again, could it be better? I used to use those Mad Scientist Laboratory flicker boards, but the weather destroys those. Every year I have to replace them. Like by the time Halloween rolls around, I'm already like having to swap one out. I used to buy extras because I would expect them to fry out, and then I was trying to wrap them with like saran wrap, like plastic wrap, to keep them covered because the light would still kind of go through, and they still seem to always get destroyed. Because once again, I get a lot of rain in October here in New England. We get a lot of rain, so. But the LEDs, without fail, never an issue. Right. They work fine, like all season, torrential rains, doesn't matter. They work. So I'm like, all right, fine. I just go with what
Do you have
works,
like street lights on your street?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They just swapped them. I think they just a couple of years ago swapped them out to the LED ones.
Dude, we have one directly across from our house, and that was, I didn't know we were buying
with your lighting setup.
Well, it was a bitch because I noticed it and I was able to light the yard, and people. I noticed it a lot because you get a shadow if you're standing in the yard. It would cast a shadow into the display. It just bugged the crap out of me. But I actually paid the city to catch.
Have you tried to throw a bag over it or something like that? I know people do that. They're like,
I had the city come out. I had to pay them to put a shade on the light. Because I called them and I said that the light was shining into my daughter's bedroom, and so she left her window open because our AC didn't work, and so they can't. And so I had to pay. It was like $180, and they put a shade on the light so it wouldn't shine into our yard, which helped. It helped quite a bit.
Well, that's one way. That's one way of going about it.
Was
the light I have actually helps me because it gives me enough light at the front of my driveway so that I don't have to add too much extra light for people to kind of make their way in. They're only coming into the front of my driveway. So before that, when it was like the condensate bulb, it seemed like it was brighter and a little bit more.
Is the LED more focused, like straight down?
It seems like it is. It seems like it's a little bit like cast less of a wider spray or like whatever. But that's never been a massive problem, and except at the front of my driveway, and it does help illuminate that area.
That's cool.
Like my tree and my what do you call them? The pillars or whatever they're called. Yeah, in the front for the gates. The columns. There we go. The gates coming into the front of the driveway. So. Yeah, it helps a little bit, and it doesn't bother me too much. Cool. So the rest of the yard, like I say, all the other lighting I do is, like I do a combination of floods, spotlights, whatever. But what else are you using for lighting? Or are you use mini spots or whatever?
It's a combination of mini spots and LED floods. The Amazon ones with the remotes. I've got a ton of those. But I've made a bunch of
like the RGB ones, the RGB floods,
and that, and then a bunch of mini spots that we've made. Just the 10 millimeter little LEDs and the PVC. And wherever needed. But a lot of flooding the lights, and then throw some lights here and there just to cross the colors up a little bit.
So neighbors are cool.
Yeah.
They're obviously, you already scoped them out beforehand, so you really don't have. They're happy with you there. Yeah. They're supportive to a point.
There's a lot of studio people up here. So my neighbor right next door, he's retired, but he, his sons work in the studios. He worked in the studios, and so they get a kick out of it. And he's a carpenter, or he was a carpenter for the studios. So he'll help me out need be, and everything's good, man.
That's
it's
good.
Pretty cool. It's a great neighborhood, and
You got a lot of kids?
Yeah,
you got a lot of kids.
It's not a huge amount, but it's steady all night long. We'll get people. They're walking around with their wagons, and the parents are cracking beers and hanging out, and the kids are running around the yard, and so it's definitely a fun community event to where there's enough places in our neighborhood. There's a street like 2 blocks from here that every house decorates, and they're like they're not, I don't know, they're not haunters, but it's all store bought. Yeah. But
they're festive.
They go nuts.
They're
like
festive.
The whole street. The whole street goes, puts all their stuff out. It's all store bought stuff, but it's like a big party, like a couple streets over. And then all the kids from there all come over here and hang out, and so it's fun. It's
I used to be a little bit of a haunt snob there, but now
I'm happy.
Like my attitude over the years, my attitude has completely changed over the years, and I'm like, what are we talking about? If you're festive and you're doing anything, I commend anything. I don't care if it's an inflatable or whatever you're doing. Sure. If you're doing anything, awesome, love it.
And it was funny. 2 years ago, we did. It was just a yard display, and I have a bunch of other stuff, that didn't fit the theme. And so on Halloween morning, I got up and then set up the driveway with like an easy up, and like with Jason and Scream and like a bunch of stuff that doesn't match the theme at all. And then you had to go down there to get your candy, and had like a strobe light fog machine. It was just, whatever I had laying around, I put up. The kids would go in there and scream and yell and have fun, and then walk by the big yard display that I've spent months putting together. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to do that again.
All right, so you're busy with your pumpkins.
Yes, sir.
Your pneumatic, you got that pneumatic thing you were working on, but he's parked. He's not going out this year, so you're going to put him aside. Not happy with that project, and that's pretty much it. You're just going to get the facade, the pumpkins out. Anything else you're throwing in the mix?
I'm going to figure out the audio. Get some audio and get some kind of where the lights will change on and off a lot to match the audio. I'm still going to figure that out. But there's a lot of figure it out as we go along, which is kind of, one of my favorite parts to it. It's like looking in storage and seeing, I forgot I had that, and this will work. Fortunately, one of my good friends, they take care of horses. So I got as many hay bales as I want to use. So I'll go down there and get
that's a score.
Get a truckload of hay bales and be able to decorate the yard and stack pumpkins and everything on them. And at the end of the season, just go bring it back to his house. So.
Yeah, I gotta figure out a cornstalk connection. Going down and paying like $8 for like 3 cornstalks tied together is just bullshit. I've got to find a good cornstalk connection. There's nothing that looks cooler.
No,
spread all over the place. There's a bunch of cornstalks, pumpkins. Like you can just go with the basics and make a pretty cool looking. I mean, look what Pumpkin Rot does.
Dude. I know.
Yeah. And it looks, once again, the creatures that he's making are beyond.
No, it's just the combination of everything.
But the whole, it's killer.
Yeah, it's
always killer.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just always that
inspiration, from other haunters around here, which is pretty. We got a pretty big community down here, so it's pretty cool to be able to go see it.
As you've got your Cal Haunts loud and proud right across the chesticles.
Yeah, it's what people are.
And you guys have, like, once again, you guys have a big community there. It's ridiculous. Again, how many how many members do you have in Cal?
Online members, it's like 600. People that show up to
actual people who show up.
It's like between 40 and 50 a meeting. It really depends on, our meetings are dependent on who volunteers their home. And also, but it's usually the same crowd. We get new people, ebb and flow through and out, but I'm on the organizing committee for Cal Haunts. So right now we're getting builds and stuff together for next year. And so September, next 2 weeks from is our last build of the year, which is paper mache pumpkins. And then in October, we do nothing, because everyone's building their own stuff. And then November, we have our November social, and we have it at Transplants Brewery out here. And they give us a big room with the stage and a PA system, and they let us bring in our... You
guys give awards to each other?
It's more just like everyone brings videos and shares their videos, what they did for the season. And Transplants Brewery gives it...
Oh, so you run videos all night.
Everyone gets up and talks about their haunt. And so that's the social. We have nothing in December, and then January, the year starts up with make and takes throughout the year. So, yeah, it's a fun group.
That's cool. That sounds great, man. Like I say, I kind of fallen, and there was a mass make and take that was pretty vibrant. Over the years, I just kind of fallen off, and it was only because I was like it was further away from me, and I'm like, I have to drive an hour and a half or 2 hours or so to get to it. That's like a couple of hours, 2 to 3 hours of that I could be working on a prop in my basement, I guess. So I do kind of miss it and would like to get back involved in it. I got to get off my ass and get off of the Cape. As I'm on the edge of the the edge of the world out here, and I got to start getting myself back into the mix of things. But
so, are you going to any haunts this year?
Definitely going to hit Fright Kingdom in Nashua, New Hampshire. I have been talking about getting down to the Bates Motel and Haunted Hayride down in Pennsylvania for years. Just go down, hang out with JT, go through it. It's not off the map. It's not. I was talking about it. Then I kind of, I'm not sure because he's got some things going on this year. Like he's not feeling that well or whatever. And so I don't. Maybe it will happen. Maybe it won't. In worst case scenario, I'm definitely going to Ed Gannon's Chamber of Horrors up in Salem,
right?
and then going to Fright Kingdom in Nashua, New Hampshire.
Cool.
I went I hadn't been there in about 4 years or so, maybe 5 years, and I went to Haunted Overload about 2 years ago. Last year, I can't remember. I went to a couple of haunts. I just can't remember exactly where. I went to nothing. There were some other haunts that I had just never been to that were in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Can't really speak too highly of them. I went to them. I was like, whatever. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. But like I say, if I'm going to go to, I want to go to a haunt. I want to go to kind of some of the big dogs, and definitely want to go to Ed's because it is a smaller haunt, but it's done very differently from your average walkthrough haunt. And I love Ed, so I want to go to his haunt. So, and I'm hoping I can get some video for the show as well by getting up there. And probably with Tim, who runs Fright Kingdom, I could probably do the same thing. Cool. I'd like to get to haunts early.
Yes.
Like I know people say, never go the opening weekend. But the way I look at it is, they might not be 100% fully on, but you don't have a conga line, and you can go through, and you don't have to deal with all the stupid assholes.
You can see all the sets and shit. You can take your time going through the hunt.
I would rather just go go through, check out all the sets. Actually get startled a bunch of times instead of just being like, I'm in a conga line and I can see that person way up there getting startled, or that person 5 people in front of me getting boo scared. And so when I get by it, they don't even jump out on me. So I'm like, I really hate going through at peak capacity. I won't do it anymore. So I always choose to go very early. How about yourself? What are you doing?
But yes, I live not Scary Farm. They're opening September 21st. So they have season passes, so we have season passes to that. We're going 21st, 22nd, and the 24th. But we're going to Universal Halloween Horror Nights over here. We're going, not opening, we're going September 9th, which is their opening weekend. Nice. And then I live like right next door to Six Flags. Like I can see, we watch their fireworks from my backyard. So Fright Fest.
And what is Six Flags?
Magic Mountain.
They do a Fright Fest. They do Fright Fest.
They have some new stuff going in this year. It's out of all the theme parks, they're not the top billing, but being that it's right next door and it's $60 for the whole season. So me and the boy go over there and just hang out and watch the sliders, and so being that it's so close, it doesn't cost anything to go over there. And but
$60 is nothing. Yeah.
But that's all done. We get all the theme parks done in September. And in October, it's working on our haunt and then go visiting all the home haunts.
There you go.
So
you're right there. Yeah, you got the how it works.
Especially down here, dude. It gets so crowded. The closer you get to Halloween, it's just a cluster of people.
It's ridiculous. It's insane. Yeah. It's just not worth it at that point. It's not fun. It's not. I don't understand why anyone would want to go through that close to Halloween.
Yeah.
So anyway, great, man. Get ready for spooky season because it is coming fast and coming hard. Hey, look at the time. We gotta go. Right. So where can all the kids find you on the interwebs, my
Instagram,
friend?
The Farm Haunt, _farm_haunt. I post all my builds, all the stuff going on down here in SoCal that we go see. Definitely post a shit ton of pictures of the haunt. So
all those Halloween foolishness will be on Instagram. Yes, and that's pretty much all you really need to do. All right, cool, man. Cool, man. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
A phenomenal season. Yeah. And always remember, stay scary.
Always.
I'm going now. Heaven help you.
Please like and follow the podcast. Stalk us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Links in the description. And help us by sharing Hauntcast with all your haunted Halloween brethren. Until next time. Stay scary.